Welcome to lesson 3 of our defender game. At the moment we can fire arrows and we can fire arrows. Our score and stuff all works. However, I've got unlimited arrows, and when our 3 lives are gone, nothing really happens. So we need to add some elements to the game now that make it harder to play and make it more enjoyable. So the first thing I'm going to do, I'm going to rename this frame to main game. So that's going to be there, and then I'm going to click the top one and I'm going to put in a new frame. I'm going to call this one high score, and I'm going to edit the background first of all. And then I'm going to put, let's have a look, I'm going to put in a new object, and under games we've got high score. I've seen you all using the high score feature before, so we've got a high score ready to play. So now we've got a new frame called high score, so we can start putting some more complex rules in. So what we've said is, let's have a look. Collision between the enemy and the door. Subtract 1 from the lives. And we said when the enemy hits the door, it destroys it. So we want to put in a new condition now that says compare when number of lives have reached of 0. So it's a new rule, and it's going to be on the player. When number of lives reaches 0, we want to put a storyboard control in, and it'll say jump to a frame and high score. So when the number of lives reaches 0, it ends. One thing we've also noticed is that when we play the game, you notice the arrows just fall through the ground. So we've got a collision with the enemy, and our score goes up. But what happens when the arrows just go through the floor? So to do that, we need to make a new active object. So we go to Control M. So we need something. The arrow can't collide with this background object. We need to put something there. So we'll put in a new active, and we'll put it there, and I'll double click it and delete it and make it a new color. So let's make it that color. Paint, drop that in, we'll click OK. So now I can expand it across the screen, make it a bit narrower. This is only there to have for our arrows to have something to collide with. So we're not going to see it, so we can put it there. So there we have something to collide with. So I'm going to give it a name. So let's have a look. Rename it. We'll call it the ground. Okay to that. So now we need a new rule. So Control E. Well, we can do it. So when we need a new condition then. So we'll do when the arrow collides with another object, and it'll be the ground. We'll want to subtract from the score, or what we're going to do is we're actually going to put a counter in, so that when we're playing our game, we'll start off with 15 arrows. Every time an arrow hits the ground, we'll deduct 1. So insert an object. Under all objects, we should be able to find counter. So we'll put the counter here. I'll make it a bit bigger. And what we'll do, we'll insert a new text. So under T for text, we've got string, and we'll put in arrows. So he's going to start off with 0 arrows at the moment. So how do we make that to have a certain number to start with? Well, we click counter, and initial value. So if we say initial value of 15, we'll start off with 15 arrows. So now when the game starts, you'll have 15 arrows. So we need to go back to Control E. So every time there's a collision between the arrow and the floor, we want to subtract 1. So subtract from counter, we'll enter 1. So now if we run the game, it's got 15 arrows to start with, and when it collided, when it's hitting the screen, it registers as a hit. So really speaking, we don't want it to fall and 3 enemy hit the door, so I was taken out of the game anyway. But really speaking, when the arrow hits the ground, we want to destroy it really. So as soon as it hits that, it'll just disappear. So we'll just do destroy. So if I press F8 now, you'll see once they hit the ground, they disappear. So every time they hit the enemy, they great increase. The only problem we've got now is the game's getting a bit hard to test because we need to put in higher scores. We need to start off with higher initial values, and then we can change those at the end. So I'm going to go back to Control M. I'm going to click our arrows. I'm going to set the initial one to 150, just so we've got more time to test the game. And also, I'm going to increase the number of lives. So if you go to the actual the game properties as a whole, and under runtime options, you've got you can set an initial score if you like, and you can do initial number of lives. And just for practice sake, I'm gonna set it to 30 for now. No, we'll put it to 10. So we should, yeah, we've got 10 lives now. So we can make that a bit bigger perhaps, so you can see them all. So we've got 150 arrows and 10 lives. So we could also make a new rule now. Let's have a look. We can do. We've got when the number of lives reaches 0, we jump to the high score game. We can also do when the number of arrows reaches 0. So we can do a new condition on the counter, and we can say compared to a value, and it's 0. So when it reaches 0 and it's the same, jump to frame number 2. So now when we hit the enemy, we score, and when we run out of arrows, we'll end the game. So the game's working pretty well now. The only thing I need to do is go back and hide, click the display options and remove visible at start. So our game's looking pretty good. The only problem is that we really need to increase the number of enemies. So we want to say something like when the score gets to 8, we'll increase the number of enemy. So we can do that next. So let's have a look. Control E. We need to put in a new. We actually need to put in a new group now. This is something new. This is a new. The easiest way to make levels is to put new groups in. So we can do insert a group of events, and we'll call it level 1. And we don't want it to be active when it starts. We want it to be active when it's called. So we'll turn that off. So we've got a new condition. So what do we say? So we can say, we can make a new rule on the player's score. So compare to player's score, and we'll say 5. So when the player scores 5, we want to jump to the next level. So that'll be under special conditions. So it'll be group of events activate, and we've got activate level 1. And I need to move that up 1. So I've said now that when it reaches 5, when the player scores 5, we want to jump to the next level. So, and what will our condition be? Well, every 2 seconds we have the enemy coming after us. So let's just change it to every 1 second. So we put the timer in every one, I'll just leave it as 1 second. Every 1 second, we want to create a new object, and we want to create an enemy. Okay, and it's going to be at a coordinate. So we want it to be here. So I click OK. So now, when I score 5, we should jump to the next level. So let's have a look at that. So I've given myself loads of arrows and loads of lives so that we can test the game. So we're on to 3, 4, 5, and you see we've now got more enemies coming after us. So that's looking pretty good now. So we've jumped to a different level. I think it might be a good idea as well to slow the enemy down, perhaps for the first few seconds. So let's have a look. We've got our, what have we got? We've got every 2 seconds create an object. Let's have a look what we got. We've got create the object. So if we go to Defender and we set the speed. So we've got movement, set speed. It's on 50 at the moment. So if we set it to 20, what we'll find is now that every 2 seconds they'll move slowly at the speed of 20, and then we then perhaps, or when we get to level 1, we want it to move perhaps a little faster. So I can double click that rule and I'll say 35. So when we run the game now, we'll notice that the first enemy should be quite slow. Yeah, so he's slowed down considerably now. So we should now start to get enemies all coming at a different speed when we play the game. So we should next see one coming after us. So as you can see, they're getting a little bit more frantic and the game's getting a little bit harder. So just to practice really, we can put in a new condition. So if we were to do, let's have a look, insert a group of events, I'm going to call it level 2. Again, it mustn't be active. I'm going to click OK. So now I just need to do a new score. So let's have a look. Compare to player's score, and we'll go for 10. So now when he gets to 10, we want to activate a new group. So group of events, activate level 2. We've got level 2, but we haven't put in anything. So let's put in a new timer event. So we want to say every, what we'll do, we could reduce the time here, or we could say every 1 second again, just create another enemy. So I can copy that one down. So every 1 second create a new enemy, and we want to set the speed perhaps to, we'll set the speed to, let's go for 50 like it originally started. So now we've got level 1, and then when it goes to level 1, it's going to create it. So we should have 3 enemies when I get to score, my score gets to 10. So let's have a go. So one more, and we should see an extra enemy. So there should be, yeah, there's 2 on the screen. And now, any minute now, there's going to be even more. And as you can see, we've now got more. So the game's got a lot harder. There's a lot more enemies. There's a lot more enemies to avoid. And even there, my lives went pretty quickly. So there's my high score, 24. So it's all looking pretty good. So what have we done now? We've got all our rules in. We've got the arrow colliding with the floor. So we've got arrows colliding with the enemy. We've got arrows colliding with the ground. We've ending the game, and we've got 2 levels. And you could just repeat this more and more for more levels. So that concludes this 3rd lesson. In the next lesson now, we're going to put the final graphics in, and we might even look at some sound just to finish the game off. Thanks for watching.